Yesterday we went over to Reverend Smith's and they had I like to say egg punch. Y'all know I'm not real good with that word Easter, but they had the egg hunts and everything and all that was fun. It reminded me of when I was a little kid and we used to do all of that and get that new suit, put it on, and I did have on white patent leather shoes, all that stuff. You know, my grandmother used to do all of that. And I thought about the fact that I had a lot of happy times as a kid growing up in Greenville, Texas. It was pretty much a small city. And a lot of people from Greenville have often asked me, why did you leave? Why didn't you come back after college? Why did you leave? We'd go visit and Aiden would always say, it might be nice to move down here. And I would always go, there's nothing wrong with Greenville, but anybody ever grew up in a small town? Grew up in a small town? Okay, small town. You can't sneeze without somebody across town finding out that you sneezed. That was one thing. But what really got me more than anything else was rumors. When I was growing up, there were constant rumors in my town. 90% of them were lies. But somebody always had something to say about somebody else that was just simply a lie. Because of that, as I got older, when I was around 16 or 17, I understood there was a formula to figuring out the lies that were being told that would help you get to the truth. Today, we're going to look at a rumor that was started about Jesus and his resurrection, and we're going to apply what I have learned in order to help us to find the real truth behind the lying rumors. So, find Matthew chapter 28 and find verse number 11. We're going to go through verse 15, and when you find it, please stand for the reading. Amen. All right. And it reads, I'm reading from the New King James Version. It says, now while they were going, behold, some of the guard came into the city and reported to the chief priest all of the things that had happened. When they had assembled with the elders and consulted together, they gave a large sum of money to the soldiers, saying, tell them his disciples came at night and stole him away while he slept. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will appease him and make you secure. So they took the money and did as they were instructed, and this saying is commonly reported among the Jews until this day. Amen. All right, we're going to talk about the resurrection. And for a subtopic, the proof is in the lie. And we're ending out our series, His Death in My Life, as we look at the resurrection. Now, let me say this up front. I said it a little bit earlier, but I want everybody to understand it. If there is no resurrection, if Jesus did not get up bodily, not in spirit, but bodily, if he's not alive in the flesh right now, we need to leave. Amen. If you don't believe that he got up bodily in the flesh, you're in trouble. Amen. You're in trouble. Because that would mean that you're denying the resurrection. It's funny to me that even in some churches, there is a denial of the resurrection. And then they have nerve to call themselves a church. If Jesus did not get up, you don't learn anything else, learn this. If Jesus did not get up, then Christianity is false. The reason Christianity will be false is because Jesus is no better than Muhammad, Confucius, Buddha, Joseph Smith. Y'all know who that is? That's the Mormons. Any of them. You know, he's another Jim Jones. If Jesus did not get up, then he was not Lord. He was a liar or a lunatic. If he didn't get up. So what I want to do is I want to look at some people that did not want him to get up. And I think if we look at them, we'll figure out that he had to have gotten up. First of all, I want to get us in the right mindset to understand what's actually going on by the time we get to verse 11. So let me give you a little bit of background here. In chapter 27, if you will find verse number 62. Now, we looked at last time that Jesus did die. We know that he was crucified on that Friday. Now, in verse 62, on the next day, which followed the day of preparation. The day of preparation means they were preparing for Saturday, which would be the Sabbath. The chief priests and Pharisees gathered together to Pilate, saying, "Sir, we remember he was still alive, how that deceiver said, after 3 days, I will rise." So, what would they say? While he was still alive, they called Jesus a deceiver. And they basically said he was going to rise in 3 days. Now, he died on Friday, and on Saturday, the Sabbath, they go to Pilate. And they say to him that he claimed he was going to rise in 3 days. Now, one of the things that a lot of people will look at and they see this, they say, well, why did they go to him on the first day? They didn't need to go to him on the first day because Jesus said he was going to rise on the third day. Now, there are some people that don't understand something. They think that 3 days later should be Monday. We've talked about this before, but let's just review real quickly. How is 3 days? We look at days in 24-hour periods. All right? But the Jews did not reckon days that way. First of all, the day ended when the sun went down. When the night came, it was the next day for them. So, when he died on Friday, according to Jewish reckoning, anything that happened at any part of the day is considered the whole day. So when he died on Friday, was buried on Friday, when he died on that Friday, he was dead. That was 1 day as far as they were concerned. Now, when the sun went down on what we would say would be Friday evening, they immediately went into Saturday. So that's the Sabbath for them. So that's day number 2. Now, when the sun goes down on Saturday, on the Sabbath, they immediately say, now this is the beginning of day number 3. All right? So that's 3 days by their reckoning. The reason they went to Pilate is they said, now, he said he was going to get up after 3 days. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that somebody doesn't get it when it gets dark. Understand that? They were afraid that the disciples would go and get it when it got dark. Because then the disciples could actually leave because the Sabbath would be over, and they could go, they could steal the body, and at any point in that time, if the body is missing, that's 3 days. So they go to Pilate on day number 2, and they say, we got to do something. Verse 64, therefore, command that the tomb be made secure until the 3rd day, lest the disciples come by night and steal him away, and say to the people, he is risen from the dead, so the last deception will be worse than the first. Now, by asking for this seal, what they're literally saying is, we want you to put a seal on the grave. Now, a Roman seal would have been a sign that simply said, you can't touch this. Now, anybody that would break the seal would be crucified upside down for breaking Roman law. We looked at crucifixion last week. It's a horrific thing. Now, to be turned over upside down is worse. So, there's nobody in their right mind that would really break the seal if they thought they could be caught. But look what Pilate says in verse 65. Pilate says to them, you have a guard. Now, it looks singular, but I want to arrest your attention first of all. Look over at chapter 28, verse 11.